What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Seth, and we are back even more Trove Dino. This is going to be a video for all of you naysayers out there that keep talking about, can I main the Dino Tamer? And almost every single time I end up seeing somebody say, no, you can't. I have no idea why. Like, really, I don't know why people think that the Dino Tamer is not a good character, because honestly, he's always been pretty good. Like, you can use him in Shadow Towers, not really to an insane degree or anything, but he's got a lot of survivability over the other characters, most of all because you have so much more movement speed when you're just using your, your ultimate, because you can end up dodging and dancing around and stuff like that. But for today's purposes, we're mostly going to be talking about U9 farming and possibly U10. We're not going to be talking about U10 extensively today, though, because I don't really have any light on this character. I'm only rocking 1,500, and it's not going to end up being enough in order to enter U10. So we're just going to ignore that and just talk about the base game here. So on top of the fact that you can most definitely main the Dino Tamer if you want, he's not bad in Shadow Towers. He's not great, but he is going to end up doing a lot better than most other characters because you got quite a bit of damage. You're not really going to be throwing down your minions as much for those of you that try to main the Dino Tamer. Most of all, you're just going to be focusing on your net. So as you throw your net down, that's going to be doing a whole bunch of damage on enemies that end up getting caught in it, and then you're just going to be shooting them like a crazy person. Now, the big reason why we're talking about the Dino Tamer today, though, is because when the U10 update decides to rear its ugly head and end up actually coming out on the live server, there's been a huge change to the Dino Tamer, where he is now actually going to be affected by movement speed gear and other various forms of movement speed when you have your ultimate triggered. So if I'm using a knight subclass ability, and I have my knight subclass at 25,000 PR. So as you end up having higher PR on your knight, the subclass ability is going to increase your mount movement speed. I can end up getting my mount movement speed to 120. However, just because we have all this movement speed gear on this guy on the Dino Tamer, if we use our ult, my movement speed is at 127. So that's already really good, and that's not including having not a Raptor Berserker, a Prefect Penguin trigger, pyro triggering from our Empowered Gem, and then also our Lunar Lancer subclass ability, which is going to give us even more movement speed, as you even saw right there, just as a quick little example. Like, look at this guy. Look how powerful he is. That's insane. So the reason you want to use a Prefect Penguin is because it's going to give you that 20% to magic damage, but it's also going to give you extra movement speed when you end up tagging a nearby enemy. Now, another thing that you could do, and probably is going to end up being a bit better than having the extra movement speed, is going to be using the Chrono, because that's going to decrease your cooldowns by 25% and is going to be very helpful for if you're actually doing, proper U9 farming and stuff like that, just because you're going to be able to cast your abilities that much more often. But I mean, you can already see it's an absolute train wreck. I mean, anything in U9 is going to end up being an absolute joke now that we're going to see the new stats coming from the cosmic gems. But I just wanted to kind of show this and have it as a quick perspective to let you know that Dino Tamer has always been pretty powerful, guys. Like, He's not bad. I don't know why people always say that he's so bad. Anyways, let me blast my way out of this dungeon and let's just continue onward. The other big reason why this character has so much survivability over the others is because you aren't actually using any mana or energy, and because of that, you can just jump to your heart's content. So that's why, like I said, he has an extreme survivability in Shadow Towers, just because of that, because you can jump in and go crazy, and you don't gotta worry about your casting abilities taking any mana or anything like that. And I mean, you can see this is already really quick compared to a lot of our characters. I mean, of course, as far as a speed build is concerned, you're just gonna want to do the standard stuff. So you're gonna be using Trailblazing Emblem. Hopefully you're strong enough, especially with the cosmic gems. You want to be strong enough that you can end up defeating enemies in U9 without needing Arcane. So I would always recommend using Death Defying, because it's just going to end up being that much better. I mean, all that stuff right there, right? Death Defying I like because if you get hit by enemies in U9, usually you end up getting one shot, and it just means that you're going to be able to survive longer by actually using it. However, if you want to, you can end up using the Conjurer's Vial. So this is going to end up having a chance to refill flasks anytime you have Magic Find trigger. So you can actually use this very effectively to farm for a much longer period of time. You're not going to have as much survivability. You're going to have to kind of watch out out for enemies actually tagging you and stuff like that, but generally you should be able to get a flask back per dungeon, if not more than 1 flask per dungeon, just because the amount of magic find that's going to end up triggering, which again, you know, this is highly dependent on you actually being at the end game already. So I want to make that perfectly clear that this is kind of an end game build that you can be using for the Dino Tamer, but it still can end up being quite effective if you're not at the end game as well. Like, you can end up actually using this fairly well on even a medium build character. Now, as far as the stats that I've got are concerned, you know, the Lunar Lancer ability is the one you're going to want to use, because when that ends up triggering, not only are you going to be doing extra damage, which who cares about that, but you want that extra movement speed that you get from triggering Lunacy. Then there's also going to end up being the gems themselves. Now, the gems, you know, kind of as a rule of thumb, I always just build my gems the exact same. This is kind of the definitive DPS gems that you want to end up having for your character. You're gonna want to have all of your empowered gems as much as you can anyways. You know, I didn't really roll these ones that good, but I have pearls on everything on that one. Otherwise, if you can on your empowered gems, you're gonna want to have 2 pearls into your physical damage, 1 pearl into your crit damage, and then no pearls into your crit hit. And you should, if you end up having those 3 primary stats. Why do I have physical damage on this gem when it's a magic character? What am I even talking about? Like, geez Louise. Magic damage. Never mind what I said about physical damage. I don't even know why. Like, okay, this pyro disc I didn't re-roll. Oh, because I don't have any re-rollers and it's on the test server. That's right. So either way, you want to have 2 pearls in magic damage on all your empowered gems, 1 to crit damage. You know, especially you can see even here I have a really bad Dino Tamer class gem ability, but just this is a prime example to put it into perspective, just how powerful and how good this character is when I don't even have like perfect stats with him, and he's already just completely destroying U9, which obviously is going to happen as you end up getting the new gems. So there's going to be the arcane gems, which are going to end up only generating with magic damage on them. Even if you re-roll them, it can only end up re-rolling towards magic damage and max health and all the usual garbage, but it can never roll to physical. But you want your 3 empowered gems, even your 4th if possible, all rolled towards magic damage with 2 pearls, crit damage 1 pearl. Your cosmic gem, however, is not going to be able to roll with crit hit on it. It can only roll as light as the 3rd stat. You can re-roll crit hit onto it, but why would you want that over just raw damage of magic damage and crit damage? Now, that said, for your cosmic gems, I would actually recommend that you have 2 sets of them. You're going to want to have 1 set that has all of the pearls, or at least as much as you can, rolled into the light stat values, so that you can end up destroying enemies in U10 very easily. And then you're gonna want to possibly have another set of gems that rolled into your magic and crit damage, not the light, so that you can use that in your shadow towers, which, I mean, it honestly depends how far you want to take it. We're already doing pretty good in terms of shadow towers anyways, so that's only for those of you that are actually struggling with shadow towers. You might want to end up getting the 2 sets of gems for the cosmic gems. Otherwise, for everybody else, you're gonna want to try and roll it towards light, because for the most part, you're gonna be grinding U10 until the cows come home, right? It honestly doesn't really matter, because at this point, you're already gonna be doing quite a bit of damage. I'm also just rocking full set of stellar, like I said. I'm also not even rocking attack speed gear. So I actually have movement speed and crit damage on this gear, which ideally you're going to want to have that extra attack speed rather than crit damage, because attack speed is going to affect the Dino Tamer that much more. The stats that I'm rocking is 108,000 magic damage as my base, which is fine, you know. That's pretty good. And then close to 2,000 crit damage. I'm already way over the limit for my crit hit, but there's not really any way I can roll off of that. I'm actually rocking 112% crit hit, because I think the Dino Tamer starts with a higher base crit hit than other characters. So again, you're gonna have to keep that in mind. And then if we ended up swapping all of our gear to crystal, just so that we could end up getting the light, you're gonna want to have at least maybe 5,000 light, if not 4,500 light, in order to end up farming U10 efficiently. And not only that, but be able to actually take on 5-star dungeons efficiently. You're gonna want to have that sweet 5,000 light or something like that, you know, something around there. And otherwise, I think that pretty much covers it. I guess as far as shadow towers are concerned, I could just kind of show you. I mean, unfortunately, I only have I haven't done any of my altar towers on the test server just to show you guys this, but I just want to let you know that there are actually videos out there. I've thought about doing it myself, but I thought, no, you know what, I'll leave that to the other people. where there you can very easily, I've done it myself, get through Ultra Daughter of the Moon soloing the entire thing with the Dino Tamer, just because that movement speed gives you a lot more survivability and to be able to move around. But then on top of it, being able to jump anywhere that you please is going to end up making a huge difference in terms of being able to defeat all of the enemies that are in your face and stuff like that, right? Because you're just going to be able to essentially jump around like a monster, strafe left and right to avoid all those ranged attacks, and either way it's going to end up being pretty cool to actually main the character. So possibly when the U10 update ends up going onto the live server, I'm either going to end up maining Dino Tamer or Vanguard. It honestly depends. Vanguard I would still say is, well, I would actually say Dino Tamer and Vanguard are pretty much tied as far as top U9 slash U10 farming is concerned. I mean, Vanguard's going to have a little bit more damage just because the abilities, the cast time of your abilities is that much faster, and ranged attacks are generally very buggy in Trove. But being able to throw down your net, weirdly enough, because it's a physical object, it isn't very buggy when it comes to dishing out the damage. So Dino Tamer might even be a little bit better than the Vanguard, but not really. Well, I guess he's not really as fast as the Vanguard. He's a little bit lower in the tiers, because if you're in the Vanguard, you get your #1 ability, which ends up increasing your movement speed as well. So keep that in mind. But either way, I just wanted to have this as the definitive. Yes, you can main the Dino Tamer in 2018, and you are going to be able to main him most of all when this update ends up hitting. You can main him right now, but when this U10 update ends up hitting the live server and you get that extra movement speed, you can really main him very well. Thanks for watching, everybody. Very much appreciate it. Don't forget to like, sub, hit that notification bell. If you want to support me, you can always buy some of the merch in the description below. Or support the channel with the join button, which is right down there. Sponsors the channel for a monthly fee. And then there's also going to end up being Gawkbox, which is a way you can donate to me for absolutely free. So links in the description for more info on that. Sayonara, and stay epic, everybody.